We're here with Lee Brice. And Lee, I've known you a couple years. I love what you've been doing in town. Let's talk about it a little bit. Tell me about your experiences coming to Nashville and what was that like when you first moved? What made you move here?
Well, everybody, if you're a writer or a singer and you want to come to Nashville. And I had two loves in my life, football and music, singing and writing songs. I've been writing since I was 10 years old. And when I got injured in college, I said, well, now it's on to my dream. And really, music was a bigger part of my life than football. Just at the time, that's what I was doing. And so I wanted to come visit. And I had no idea, really, that you have to be here to make things happen. But I just came because I wanted to visit and see. I wasn't coming to move here. I was just coming to visit Nashville. Maybe meet somebody. Maybe somebody hear my song and I get famous. But when I came, I met a couple, just random people, and they introduced me to some folks over a spring break that I was a very fortunate person that one in a million chance that I meet the people that I met that led me straight to the guy who's now my producer, who's been my producer ever since the very beginning. I was a fortunate person that happened to. But I did. As soon as I came here, he told me, he's like, Lee, I think you're a talent. I think you can do something in this town, but you got to be here if you want to do it. And I was in my fourth year of college. I had a year to go in civil engineering, and I left. And my daddy believed in me, but he was like, son, one more year, and I, who knows? I could have finished out and then came and done it, but I left. I came to Nashville, and then I devoted everything I had to it. And so now but see, I didn't know that that's what I had to do. I just did it because I wanted to do that. But looking back on it, that's what I had to do to get to where I'm at now.
What was your thought process when you came to town? It sounds like you were prepared because when you met him, the person I know you're talking about, you were prepared. What do you think what sold him on Lee Brice?
Well, I had been writing songs since I was 10 years old, and I had been writing them seriously. When I was a 10-year-old kid and I wrote my first song, I was serious about it. And I was ever since then. And so I think that me doing it for so long and so often and so seriously, even though my songs weren't that good, they were good enough after that long to where he said, and I was singing and I was putting everything into it when I sang, just like I do now. And that's what sold him on me. And he could see that. In fact, what he said was, he was the guy, Doug Johnson, my producer. He said, Lee, your daddy ain't gonna like this, what I'm about to tell you. But unless you love civil engineering, like I can see, this is right after I finished playing the song, like I can see you love this. He said, you need to be here. And that's what I did, And so he saw that I loved it, and I would put everything I had into it. I think that's what he saw. And if he didn't see that, he wouldn't have, he wouldn't tell anybody to come to town, unless you're willing to unless it's a part of you, and that's all you want to do. That's it,
You're very successful in football, even playing college football at Clemson. How did that prepare you when you came to town? What did you take from that to put into your music when you came to town?
Well, football and music don't have a lot to do with each other, but football and the music business have a lot to do with each other. In the fourth quarter, especially, you're down. If there's a chance, if you feel like there's a chance, or even if you feel like there isn't a chance, sometimes you just got to keep going. And overtime, and you're worn out. When I played football in high school, I never came off the field. I started offense, I started defense, I started all the special teams. So the only time I came off the field was halftime. So by the end of the game, I was worn out. But what I learned was, you got to push. Fourth quarter, you got to keep going. And so I've been here for almost 10 years now. And I had a great, lucky start. And I'm still pushing as hard as I can to make something happen. Now, a lot of stuff's happened to me. I've been blessed. But I'm still pushing forward, and that's how it is. It's just that mentality of just keep going. Wake up every day, work, work, work. And that's what football is. The same thing, you know.
You're out on the road, people come up to you and ask you for advice, right? What
Yeah.
advice do you give them?
Well, I'm pretty brutally honest. It's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing when they go, "Hey Lee, I'm a writer. You know, can you listen to my songs?" Or "Hey Lee, I'm a singer, man. You know," and I'm like, "Man, that's great," and it really is. They're like, "What can I do? Can you help me?" And I'm like, I can listen to your songs, and I can tell you, pointers whether they're great or whether they're not great or whatever. But that it has going to have nothing to do with a career that you want. What you want is that, and you want to do that, then you have to be in Nashville. You have to be here. What they don't understand is it seems so big and so far fetched, but when you come here, this is a small town. It's an even smaller industry. There's 2 roads, Music Road, and at the end of those roads, there's a bunch of little bars. And everybody on those 2 little roads, they all hang out at these little bars. From the biggest producers to the biggest writers, the biggest artists, they're all there hanging out. The truth is, it's not about how talented you are. And they'll go, I really think I can do it. Well, you might be the most talented writer in the world, but if you're not here meeting people and making relationships, a 1 in a million shot, it's not going to happen unless you come here. And it's all about relationships. You come to town and hang out in those places, get to know people, and the next thing you know, you randomly meet somebody who's a great writer in town, and then so you're not coming off like help me, help me. They're like, hey man, Lee, you seem like a cool guy. And then the next thing you know, they're like, what do you do? Well, I write some. I'm really, man. Well, let's write. Next thing you know, you're writing with a great writer in town. That's how it happens. And then they know everybody in town if they've been in town for a while. You eventually get to know everybody too. And it's about relationships, and obviously it's about talent. You got to be able to do, but you got to work on that talent. You got to nurture it when you're here. And so the bottom line is, I tell them, if you want something from this career, you want a career in it, you got to be there. You got to be where the music is, and it might not necessarily be Nashville. It could be Austin or L.A. or New York, but you need to be somewhere where the industry is. And but Nashville's the perfect place because it's small. It really is. And you can get to know people in 6 months. You can know half the town. So that's what I tell them.
So you come to town and you have these big hit writers. Maybe you run into an artist. We have a section on our site called Germing 101. Let's talk about Germing because I'm in the bar and I see you, man. You're an artist. You're a writer. You got a #1 Garth. All of this stuff. Let's talk Germing. What should I not do? What is Germing? What should I not do?
I guess it's different with any artist. I have people a lot of times they'll hand me a CD, and say, "Man, can you listen to this?" And the thing is I don't mind at all. I'd love to listen to CD, and I take the time to listen to them a good many, a lot of times, and but like I said, that's a kind of a thing that like you're not necessarily German me at all. You're just you're wanting to get some input back, but that's about all you'll get from something like that. The truth is, it'll get you further if you don't even hardly talk about music. If you just befriend somebody, if you just have a drink with somebody, if you just hang out, in fact, the longer you can go without talking about it, the less an artist feels pressured to try to, because they live their life every day, like every second of every day. I'm music, and so when I go to a bar or a golf course or wherever, my brain is kind of trying to not be there for a little while, usually. So just be a buddy, be a random, hey man, and people come up and they go, man, it's nice to meet you, and I love that. That's. But some artists might hate getting a CD. I don't know, or getting somebody talking about it. I go with it, usually. But the truth is, the less, it's like the less you feel like, the less you make them feel like they have to do something right then. There's nothing they can do right now. An artist, they've been working their whole life to get there. and you're gonna have to do the same thing. So just know, you come to town, you know you're gonna work hard, and just meet people, and just meet them and have a relationship. Next thing you know, stuff will start happening.
Any questions?
Yeah, I like what you guys were talking about when I first kind of came in. Dig on that a little bit more, but the doing. It's like,
Yeah,
work,
that
doing, and
that's the motto. It's
like
like,
to have all this great resources and there's everything at your fingertips, but you still got to do it.
that's right. You know, there's nothing. You know, it's there's wishing and having dreams, and then there's making them happen. You know, and there's two different things. You can dream your whole life, and there's nothing wrong with just dreaming. But if you want them to come true, they can. And in this town, they can. It ain't gonna be necessarily be easy. Um, some people get it quicker than others. Some people have more luck. Some people meet the right person. But you got to be out doing to make anything happen. If you're not doing, chances are nothing's going to happen. You're going to stay in your hometown. You're going to write songs, sing, maybe be a star in your hometown. But unless you come to where it's at and do, it's probably not going to happen.
Let's talk about the importance of your friendships in town. Have you had times when you're down? Are those with the
Oh.
friends?
Well, you know, it's just like this. This is a great example. When I came to town at the same time as a lot of young artists. I became really good friends. None of us had record. None of us did anything other than just ramble around town and hang out. Me, Luke Bryan, Randy Houser, Jamie Johnson, Jake Owen. I was there the first night he came to town. He walked into a bar I was playing. I got him up on stage and he hung out and played. There's a lot of us that we were just Dallas Davidson is writing songs all over this radio. We all just hung out. We all ran together. We were buddies, and we would always talk about, man, one day we're gonna all be on the charts together. And now here we are, 6, 7 years later, 8 years later, and we are. But it ain't because, you know, we just dreamt it. We hung out. We met each other. We all, everyone, Randy Houser, me, all of us, working their butts off from day one because they knew all of us knew in our heads we could do it just like you do. Except we went out and did it, and that's all you got to do. You just got to do.
Great. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Hey, man.
Thank you. Anything else you need? Think you need to?
I'm good, man. I think we covered it. I mean, that's the bottom line, truthfully. It really is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I know I'd love to have them.
Yeah, that was excellent,
Okay.
man. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you just mentioned, do us a little plug for it.
All right.
Music starts here. You know, I wish. What are your thoughts on which MusicStartsHere.com .org was here when I moved to town 10 years ago, or if you don't mind, something.
You know, yeah, I definitely wish something like Music Starts Here was here when I moved to town, because it would be like me telling myself this. If I could have heard that, to me, it would be exciting to hear something like that. Like, you really? All I got to do is go meet people and hang out, and I got a real shot at doing something. That would have been even more encouraging instead of kind of being in the dark. So this is a good thing, man, and it's a positive thing. It's not me saying, you know, you can't do it on your own. You do it on your own. You come to town on your own, and you meet people, and you make it happen. So this is a great thing, man, and it's just this is an encouraging thing, very encouraging.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.